Hi guys, welcome to my first travel vlog. It's my first time to do a voiceover as well, so I hope you can be patient with me, and if you have any feedback or comments, do let me know so I can further improve. Hope you enjoy this vlog to Hanoi and Sapa. So to give you a little bit of background, we actually traveled in a group of 17 of us. We are all from the same church and our pastor actually came along with us. So it was a pretty exciting trip and hope you guys enjoy this. So after we reached the airport and got our baggage, we basically got on this bus that was chartered for all of us, and we made our way to our first stop, which would be our lunch stop. The bus would travel along many different places, and I just kind of started getting used to the scenery in Hanoi. So finally we reached our first stop. We were all excitedly looking at the menu, and wow, just look at the aesthetics of the menu, the aesthetics of the restaurant, and really I just enjoyed the overall vibe of this restaurant so much. This was probably the most expensive meal that we had on this trip, but after all, it's the first day, right? And we should treat ourselves after, traveling all the way here, and just look at that spread of food. I really liked this fried squid over here. I know it's not very Vietnamese, but still I loved it. And oh my goodness, I tried some of the coconut flesh. And as you can see here, Jack is truly enjoying the coconut. So after lunch, we started to make our way to Hang Duong Street, and yep, the crazy traffic in Vietnam. It was a first for some of us, and we were screaming because we had to cross the road with all the cars coming in all directions. And here's some really nice and tranquil scenes of Hang Duong Street. Basically, we shopped and dined around Hang Duong Street until the evening. After that, we headed to our dinner place, which would be near the Hanoi Hotel. It was a very simple meal with really nice home-cooked food, and I really enjoyed this roast pork dish the most. I also loved the soup as well, which is kind of not featured here, but it was really good, just really good home-style cooked food. We still had some time before our overnight coach arrived, and we decided to just take a little bit of a walk around the neighborhood and just do a little bit of shopping. After that, we would take the coach to this waiting area where we would wait for the overnight coach. And here it is. This is tonight's accommodation. It was a really interesting experience, but at the same time, it wasn't the most comfortable because the bus driver was constantly horning, and it was pretty difficult to get up on this bed, Over here, Jack is like, I have no idea what the heck is going on. Okay, so fast forward to day 2, it was about 5:30 a.m. and we arrived in Sapa all sleepy and confused, but there begins our journey in Sapa. So after what seemed like an eternity, we were finally on our way to the hotel. All of us were kind of jam-packed into this really small van. And finally, we reached the hotel and we relaxed and waited for everyone to arrive before taking the buggy down to the city center. So for many of us, it was the first time we actually took a buggy out of the hotel compounds, and it's interesting to ride a buggy along the mountain hillside and along the bumpy roads. So I thought this was something memorable to record. And yeah, we reached the city center, but it's so foggy today. Here we are at our breakfast place, and oh my goodness, this cat is gorgeous. I was so in love with her. Breakfast for today is either chicken or beef pho. I went with beef pho, and as usual I went without veggies because you guys know how much I really dislike veggies. So yeah. I really liked this bowl of beef pho because the soup was just so light and comforting, and the noodles were just springy and chewy, and it was exactly the perfect breakfast for a 13 degrees Celsius day in Sapa. So after breakfast, we stopped by this cafe with really nice vibes, and it was overlooking the city centre of Sapa, and we decided to get their drink and croissant. And here it is, the food has arrived. However, I wasn't really very impressed by the croissant because the croissant was cold, hard, and it was just overly sugary. But I really enjoyed the ginger tea that I took with my croissant. Here is me just enjoying a simple cup of ginger tea in this cold weather. It was so soothing. So after about 1.5 hours of chilling at the cafe, we then made our way to Sapa station, and look, the fog has seemed to clear a little bit. We then headed inside the Sapa train station in order to take the tram to begin our journey of the summit to Mount Fansipan. It's the highest point in IndoChina. So the first part of the trip involves taking a tram from Sapa Station, Sun Plaza to the Fansipan base village. It was supposed to be a very scenic and enjoyable journey, but unfortunately there was a lot of fog around, so all you could see was just foggy scenery, but still it was a good experience. So once we arrived at the Fansipan base village, we basically found this small little pretty garden which we spent a bit of time exploring around and just, taking photos and all. This was my favorite part of the garden, and I'm sure for those who know me well, you wouldn't be surprised why this was my favorite exhibit. Because look, it's cats! I also like this interesting step ladder because it made me feel like I was ascending on the way to heaven, if you get what I mean. After we explored the garden, we then made our way to the second part of the trip, which was to go to the Sapa cable car station. So we had to walk through quite a bit in the Fansipan base village. Finally, we're at the Sapa cable car station, and here we are waiting to board the cable car. The cable car was really huge, so it could actually fit all 17 of us, and it was quite an experience because, as you can see later on, we were really high up, and for someone who is scared of heights, this was quite an experience, but I really enjoyed the scenery around. So here it is, enjoy! So after about a half an hour ride, we finally reached the Fansipan cable car station. We then continued our ascent to the peak of Mount Fansipan, and the next leg of the journey involved climbing up a lot of stairs amidst a lot of foggy scenery and cold, harsh wind. We were headed to Xuan station, where we would then take a tram for the next leg of our journey because some of us had a bit of difficulty walking, and so we decided that taking a tram is better than taking the steps. And here we are, we reached Xuan station. After taking the tram from Xuan station further up, it is almost the last leg of our journey. We just had to climb up a few steps and finally we would arrive at the peak of Mount Fansipan, and here we are! Although it was such a pity that it was a foggy day, I really enjoyed the company of everyone who climbed up to the summit together, and I really just enjoyed the cool breeze and the overall experience in general. So this is after we had travelled all the way back down to Sapa station. We are headed for lunch. All of us was starving by the time we reached the lunch place, so as a result, I forgot to film the food, but the food was scrumptious and nice. After that, we had free time for the rest of the day, so Jack, my mom and I, we decided to go shopping at Sapa Sun Plaza because I happened to see a pair of shoes that really caught my eye. And we ended off day 2 by meeting the rest of them at this coffee place, which was really chill, and I quite liked the vibes, but I was just thinking about the shoes which I wanted to get, but oh well. Day 3 was much clearer than day 2, and I was so happy because we actually got to explore the hotel garden a little bit before we headed for breakfast. If you're wondering why the breakfast was not shown, it's because I forgot to film the breakfast, but I'll film it the next day. After having breakfast, we were heading to Hmong village to meet the locals, where we would have a 3.5-hour trek with them, and they would also just show us around and accompany us along the way. The 3.5-hour trek was definitely not the easiest because there were many wet puddles, loose soil here and there because of the rain, and we had to go down pretty steep and rocky hills here and there, but the scenery really made it all so worth it. Here we are at our first rest stop, and I just took time to just savor this gorgeous view right in front of me. Oh my goodness, I was so in love with this view because it's just nothing but greenery. In addition, the Hmong village locals gave us this really gorgeous handmade hut. I tried to keep it safe in my bag, but unfortunately I kind of lost it along the way. And here we are continuing on our trek, and we saw some cows. Unfortunately, along certain parts of the trek, it started to rain, and so I had to whip my umbrella out, and as a result, I had to keep my camera because I didn't want my camera to get wet. But here's all the scenery that I managed to record on the 3.5-hour long trek. Fast forward to after the trek, we had a sumptuous home-cooked lunch by the locals of the Halong village while they accompanied and sat with us. After lunch, we headed back to our hotel to rest for about 15 minutes before heading out again to this very scenic place about 500 meters above our hotel to enjoy the golden hour and just look at these lovely clouds. We were at the same level of the clouds and I loved it so much. Then a gorgeous night view of the Sapa city centre was waiting for us when we got back, and we decided to have Western dinner for a change. And here comes day 4. Let me just show you this sumptuous breakfast spread that our hotel has. So they really have so much variety. They have noodles, they have stews, they have salads, fruit juices, they have desserts such as French toast, and even some matcha desserts as well. Unfortunately, the French toast was a little bit of a letdown because it was kind of tasteless, but I really just loved that whole breakfast spread. And I'll show you later on what's the thing that I love most about this breakfast spread. They had a porridge station where you could customize your porridge with many different toppings. I kind of cheated and went over to this area of the buffet where they had some fried onions, and oh boy, I love fried onions and fried shallots so much. Over here they had some waffles and they had a lot more toppings as well, and they even had an omelette station, so I got myself an omelette, which you will see later on. And here's what we had for today's breakfast. So today was a pretty simple day because we were supposed to head back to Hanoi. So basically after breakfast, a few of us went to go for this massage and just walk around the city centre one last time before we would leave for Hanoi. And before leaving the hotel, Jack and I decided to walk around the hotel compounds one last time and really just enjoy what this gorgeous hotel has to offer. We took many different photos of the scenery and the facilities before we boarded the bus back to Hanoi. I have to say I really did not like this bus at all. It was stuffy, the air was just not good because I actually kind of caught a sore throat once we arrived back in Hanoi, and it was just stuffy, packed with people, and it was really not the most comfortable bus experience. And imagine having to just sleep and just idle away your time for like 7 hours. By the time we alighted the bus and reached the hotel, it was really late, so we just had a very late dinner and we just went to bed. And here's the breakfast situation the next day. Definitely not as good as the previous hotel, but it was still sufficient enough. Here's today's breakfast situation before we would board the bus for a 3-hour-long journey to the Halong International Cruise Port. So today we're going to Halong Bay. We then took a boat from the Halong International Cruise Port to Halong Bay. The journey would take about an hour from the Halong International Cruise Bay to Halong Bay itself. After we reached there, we found ourselves on Tuan Chau Island, and we then went to visit one of the caves on the island and just explore the island in general. I have to say though, although the cave was cooling and provided some respite from the hot weather, the island was pretty much very touristy, and we found ourselves pretty disappointed and underwhelmed by the views around us, because as you can see later on, the waters were just of Milo brown color, and honestly we felt that it was really not worth such a long journey here, you know, just to see this kind of scenery. But then again, it's just my 2 cents. So as you can see over here, you can see that the waters are not anywhere near as vibrant as what you see on photos on social media, so yep. After that, we headed back to the boat to have a home-cooked lunch that was made by the staff on board the boat. I would have to say it's quite an interesting experience, but at the same time I was kind of fighting back seasickness. After taking the long journey back to the hotel from Halong Bay, we just rested in the hotel for a few hours, and then we headed to this lakeside seafood diner for our seafood dinner. It was so good. I loved the whole array of fresh seafood, and there was absolutely no fishy taste at all. My personal favorites were the lala, the seafood porridge, the grilled prawn, as well as the squid. Dinner was free and easy, and so a group of us decided to visit the nearby supermarket and to just shop for some Vietnamese souvenirs and snacks to bring back for our friends and family back home. Was pretty chill. We basically just headed to Xuan Market to have a morning of shopping before we had to head back to the hotel, grab our stuff, and head back to the airport. The market was really big, but at the same time we didn't exactly like it because it was pretty stuffy and we didn't exactly find a lot of like trendy clothes and all. It was more of like souvenirs and more handicrafts that attracted our attention. And that's it for our Hanoi to Sapa trip. And if you guys enjoyed this video, or you have any feedback or comments or suggestions on how to further improve, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, do subscribe to my channel.